Good afternoon. Welcome to Parent You Life. I hope you're doing great. Welcome, Dr. Vidya. Dr. Vidya, I have a question for you. Could you help us understand what does this family vision means and why do we need it, if at all?
Right. So Nitin, actually, when I got this topic from your team about a family vision 2021, I was very excited because the topic itself, I think there are so many points worth noting in this. Uh, Generally, when we move on to another new year, I think it has been a tendency among people who to introspect. They generally introspect and fix in some personal goals, some professional goals, but I think in 2020, the pandemic has made everyone realize the importance of family. How not to take family for granted. That family is the main anchor. People who have been working from home, people have had their kids at home. So they have really realized that the family is a main anchor of their personal as well as their professional lives. So I think the pandemic has got this thing also. As we go along, you will see that how it has added some more of the goals to the family vision. So I think it's very very essential topic to be discussed and to be worked on more so. Mm. So I think this has been, and the pandemic has also made us appreciate what are the wellness practices, be they the physical wellness practices, be they emotional wellness practices, which I think is very essential to include in the family vision. So very very interesting topic and very essential to have a family vision.
Right. What is a good starting point to make a family vision?
Right. So again, I think it is the family, the dynamics of every family are different. So it is a good starting point would be to take get it on in your mind or on paper, who all are the members in the family at the time, what are the dynamics between them, what is the age especially of the children in the family, if there are any senior citizens in the family. So all of these, so every family vision is more individualized, I think, to the needs of every family. We will further on, we will see how to exactly design this, keeping the individual family needs in mind.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Vidya. So, also, when we talk about, family vision in 2021, 2020 itself has been very challenging, especially for, children, not just for parents, but also for children. Given that, what are the things which a parent could keep in mind while creating a family vision? What are some of the to-dos which you would suggest? And once they start, if you can give some examples. So, for example, you can take a family with a toddler, like a 2 year or a 3 year old in the family, and a family of three. So, what are the things we should keep in mind while we create a family vision for 2020?
Right. So first, I think I would like to talk about some of the points which I feel need to be included in a family vision. For the sake of simplicity, and it is the parents or the entire family loves this example a lot. So I generally give a car model where what are the four wheels of the car which help you get on the other side. Before this, like you rightly mentioned, Nitin, 2020 has given a lot of challenges to every family, right? we know, we don't need to discuss the different aspects in which the challenges have been there. So I think parents need to pat themselves on the back, and also they need to pull up their socks, realizing that some of these challenges are going to persist in 2021. So how do they handle those same challenges in a much better way? So if we give the car model, there is the first, what are the four wheels of the car which will help us get along in a much smoother fashion through 2021, which are what we should include in our family vision. So one, the first one is a healthy lifestyle, which of course will include restful sleep and a good healthy diet, and physical exercise as per the needs of the family. All of these should be tailor made, of course, as per the needs of the family. The second one is emotional wellness. Everything which makes you emotionally well, as in it could be as simple as reading a book or doing some artistic work. So whatever is contributing, chatting with your friends, so whatever is contributing to your emotional wellness will all come in here. Then the third one is breathing exercise and some mindfulness practices, which I think is very, very essential for everyone, because everyone has ups and downs in their family life. So the more you are having this backup always of being mindful, of having a mindfulness practice as a part of your daily routine when things are going fine, is when it really, you have that to fall back on when there are bumps on the road. The next one is a kind of structure, because when we are talking about a vision, we are talking about some amount of organization, some planning, some structure. Of course, you can incorporate newness in it, so that the people don't get bored of the structure routine, but it should be within a basic framework of some structure. And the stepney, I would like to add the fifth wheel, that is a screen time vision. Every family should have a vision on screen time. So if we are talking about this, a family, a young family of three, a young and beautiful family of three, with a toddler child or a child who is just 2 3, so I think here the wheels change, which are going to take in more pressure, because you have got over the, you have kind of set a routine for the child, right? In terms of the sleep patterns have been established for the child, you have figured out what is a healthy diet for your child. Are you getting the other wheels right? Are you exercising yourself? Now is the time to add in some amount of planning, organization, some amount of structure. Get in a mindfulness practice. You would say, what is a mindfulness practice for a 3-year old? But believe me, there are several exercises which you can do, where, because mindfulness simply means being in the present moment, right? So there are things you can do, like you can sit down and listen to the sounds around you, right? Or you can just have a chocolate. Children love chocolates, of course, 3-year olds. So you can have a chocolate mindfully. So we can have a small exercise where they are sitting in and taking in the flavor of the chocolate, and they're smelling the chocolate, feeling the chocolate even, okay, rather than just gulping it down. So that is a way you could incorporate mindfulness even in the daily life of a 3-year old. And believe me, these are the four wheels which will really go a long way in developing a family vision and in carrying through that family vision, if we have all these in place.
Right, thanks, Dr. Vidya. I think that is very important, and hopefully we can get it right, all of us, in 2021, because 2021 has pretty much shaken everything around us, and inside the families also, it's been really, really tough for us. And
Right.
as parenthood, we know the kind of challenges we've been facing, especially for families, smaller family setups, right, which don't have a joint family.
Yes.
And then the other side, which is families which are larger, and the kind of challenges there. So, the first question, Dr. Vidya, is from Sugandha. Sugandha is a pro-parent. She's asked this from Shimla. Sugandha, it must be like really, really cold back at
Yeah.
Shimla. And thanks for, coming live today. She says that, she's been a little anxious and over concerned about how things have been, and especially during the pandemic, about her family's health. And she believes that the situation is not going to change anytime soon. And she says that I'm also, sort of passing on my anxieties, I think, to my child at times. And I don't want to enter the new year, the 2021 year, with such anxieties and negativities. So, how do I stop overthinking and negative thoughts and enter the next year positively? And she has two children, a 12-year-old and 7-year-old. So, what would you advise her for 2021?
Right. So, Sugandha, I hope that your 2021 is going to be much better than what 2020 was, especially if most of the memories you are having of it are negative memories, which don't make you feel very good. Right. But I think for this one generic rule, which I would state, is that if you could have self care as your mantra, have you been spending too much time taking in negativity from the media? Have you let the negativity of children being at home, attending online school, and making so many demands on you? Have you has that gotten to you? In which case, I think if you could practice self care in all aspects, that is, the physical aspect, the social aspect, the emotional aspect, and the spiritual aspect, it would definitely help you tide over 2021 in a much better way. That said, if you are having pervasive feelings of sadness, negativity, nothing appeals to you, the things which were interesting to you are not so interesting anymore, if you're experiencing some pervasive sadness of mood, and there are also sleep appetite disturbances, then maybe you could definitely approach a professional and just evaluate if there are some amount of anxiety depressive features, and a professional could guide you in that regard. But as a starting point, I think self care in all aspects, getting physically active, doing some mindfulness, will still help you till you get to that point.
Thank you, Dr. Vidyas. Sugandha, we hope this helps. And, please have a terrific snowfall which is coming up in Shimla. And you could maybe, as part of your family vision, that could be one of the few things to do, make a snowman together, right? Who knows? Like, someone could just unearth the untalked and the unspoken anxieties of 2020. And you may just enter with that positivity in 2021. So, the next question, Dr. Vidya, is from from Sirsa. And Amita says that she's concerned about her child's studying habits. She says that my child is 13 years old and he seems to be very casual about studies. And since he's the only child, she herself, as a mom, has a lot of expectations from him. And what she's been observing is during the online classes, her child is not concentrating. He continues to play games on the other tabs. He doesn't study at all. And due to which she time and again scolds him. And then her husband, in turn, scolds her because he says that why are you, chiding my child and things like that. So that hurts her a bit from time to time and is leading to a lot of differences between her and her husband. And she wants to put an end to this in a positive way while she enters the 2021 and wants to handle this in a better way. So, would you have any suggestions for her to handle the situation without spoiling her bonding with her husband?
Right. Amita, I hope 2021 is going to be better for you. And I'm sure during the session of the Family Vision 2021, you will be able to pick up some tips which will help you deal with things better. But what I see as per your individual, the needs of your individual family, is that your child is no more a small child whom you can control. He is 13, so he's in his teens. He is going to be rebellious, and the more you instruct him, the more you try to control him, the more he is going to be rebelling, the more he is going to be defiant, and this can take a toll on the atmosphere in the entire house. So I think the emotional tone of the house is basically set by the parents who are there in the house and the mother. So if it is possible that your differences are not threshed out in front of the child, because he would also pick up this kind of negativity. And children typically know that if the sides are being taken by the parents, they know how to get around things and get things done their own way. So try and realize that you are all on the same side. See if you can practice some self care, which prevents you from being anxious about the entire scenario, and you will then pass on your anxieties to him. Try and not be controlling, but rather see if you can influence your child, because the more you try and control a teenager who is individuating, the more he is going to try and individuate and rebel. And I have had parents coming to me where the family has seen serious rifts during the challenges of 2020. And like we said, the family should be the anchor, and we don't want divisions within the family because of the way things are handled. So we can try and avoid that by some of these do's which we will discuss during to be adopted during Family Vision 2021.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Vidya. Dr. Vidya, I want to ask you about individuating, right? You spoke about it, how adolescent, when moves into those teenage years, there are those signs of individuating. Can you elaborate that a bit for us to understand?
Right. Nitin, as the children are going from their tens, their tweens, to their teenager, to the teenage, there are so many physical changes, there are so many hormonal changes happening. And there are also, the brain is also growing at a different pace, right? But the prefrontal cortex, we have to understand, has not yet matured. So they are still um, they're still small, and it's going to take a lot of time for the prefrontal cortex to mature, which happens at around the age of, which it is complete around the age of 25. But it has started. So this is what is individuation. So they try and do this, they test limits within the safe structure of the family. They will try and rebel, they will try and not get caught, they will try and tell some lies. And of course, peer pressure in this age is very plays a very important part. So parents have to be stop being controlling and authoritarian, but at the same time they shouldn't be so permissive. So they have to create a safe haven where there are so many dangers in the present world, especially for teenagers, right? You have cyber crimes, you have drugs, you name it, and all those dangers are much much more than they were when the parents listening in to this were exposed to. The dangers are much more. So you have to give them that safe space where they would first experiment and test their limits within the safety of home. You have to provide them the security, so that even they are exposed to outer dangers, some of these which we spoke about, the family should be the first who is aware of this, and the family should be in a position to problem solve without blaming too much. So I think this is very essential in the process of individuation.
Right. Thanks for explaining individuation, Dr. Vidya. And I think that's highly valuable for parent of adolescents, especially and parents of tweens. So thanks for elaborating that. Dr. Vidya, the next question is from Sadia. And Sadia Tehseen says that my baby is 32 months and she doesn't eat since last 1 week. She hasn't been eating, and she's been also noticing signs of no hunger, no appetite over the time, over the period. She also feels she's a little fussy. So, what can she do in 2021 to change her daughter's approach towards food? What are some of the habits she or her family together could inculcate? They are a family of three, and their daughter is 32 months, almost 3 years.
Right. Sadia, I'm sure Sadia would have gone to the pediatrician and checked on what is proper nutrition. And she would have gone to a nutritionist and checked what are the things she needs to do for her 32-month-old child, and what is the right diet and all of that. But if she could incorporate some kind of color in it, if she could incorporate some kind of the playfulness to the entire routine. For example, if the child doesn't like a lot of vegetables, if she could say that yes, today we will choose, we will go, if she could involve her in the process of ordering the vegetables or going and buying the vegetables, and say that today we can get what you like, tomorrow we'll get what I like. And in a family of three, it's very much, it's something which can be done, right? So the child is exposed to a variety of foods on her palate, and it becomes like a kind of interesting game for the child also, where she's exposed to different colors, where she's exposed to different likes, where she learns to be empathic also about the fact that different people in a family can have different likes, but nevertheless everyone is eating what's on the plate. And Sadhya, I'm sure it could be possibly a phase, and she will, maybe it's her body's way of saying that she needs some rest, and she has been off food maybe for some days, but I'm sure she will come back with all the liveliness and the color which you have incorporated into her plate. She will come back with all that spring in life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vidya. So there you go. You will see Sadhya over a period of time, your child's behavior would turn positive, and we wish you in 2021 a great positive behavior around food from your daughter. The next question is from Gigi Naresh, and Gigi says that, uh, "Hi, doctor." She says, "Please suggest me some practical activities we can do as a family to cultivate the vision for 2021, but suggest me activities in a way which are like really playful so that I can introduce them to my children as well and we can create a vision together."
Right. So great. So Gigi, if you can incorporate all the aspects which we spoke about, that is a healthy physical lifestyle, healthy mental lifestyle. If you could incorporate some amount of the breathing and mindfulness, and like I said, these can be fun things. You know, for I don't know the age of your children, but if it could be as simple a game as Simon says, where you suddenly sit and play that, and it is a way of being in the present. So it is actually a mindful, we use this in fact as a mindfulness game. If you can incorporate some amount of breathing, and when the children see that you are doing this, they also model themselves on this kind of behavior. So when they see that you are having a regular breathing exercise practice, a regular mindfulness practice, they also are excited enough to be within that, and they want to incorporate it. So there are so many small games, so many small tricks you can do throughout the day to add these the fun exercises. The third one is the after the mental health, the third one is breathing and mindfulness, and the fourth one is some amount of structure with some amount of newness. So you incorporate a basic framework of structure, but within that you keep giving them some new activities. It could be something which they like. For example, if your child likes art, maybe it could be a game which has something to do with art. If your child is more of an explorer, you can do a mindfulness walk. There is something, a small tip, they can have a rainbow walk, where you go out on a walk, you go in nature, and you pick up something which reminds you of all the colors of the rainbow. So it's a rainbow walk, and it's a mindfulness activity, right? So you're also having being one with nature, which really refreshes you, right? So these are some of the things you could incorporate in your family vision 2021.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya. I think these are some very handy tips, which I think, Gigi, you would be able to incorporate while you cultivate the vision for 2021. And Dr. Vidya, I mean, all of us need a vision for 2021, given the fact that what 2021 holds for us after this 2020, which hasn't been like really great from being social or stepping out. I think this becomes even more important. So, just taking one question from Sneha Shah, she has asked this on our Facebook handle, and she says that I don't know why, but I feel anxious and worried all the time, and I've already got corona phobia. What do I do?
Okay, so I think you are not really alone in this. So there are a lot of people who are coming in with anxiety symptoms. Maybe they have seen their near ones being exposed to the virus, or maybe they have had some other stresses which have happened in their family life, in their personal life, in their professional life. But more so, I think just because of the media onslaught of so many things, there are people who have developed a lot of anxiety features. So I think developing a positive vision for 2021 by incorporating all of this, doing some self care definitely, and having leading trying and focusing on how you can have a healthy lifestyle. And that said, if you are experiencing symptoms where you are having maybe say panic attacks, or you are afraid to go out even for your essential routines, so if it's at a point where it is interfering with your day to day routines, then it would be good to seek professional help. I think there is a lot of fear associated with approaching a mental health professional, but definitely it's not because of the this which is prevalent in our society, that only mad people should go see a psychiatrist or a mental health professional. But I don't that's definitely not the case. So if we are able to incorporate all of this, I think it will help. And if you need to approach a professional who is going to guide you in these different aspects, I think you should take that opportunity. Because if you have already had anxiety symptoms for a good period of time, there is no need to keep suffering, right? So I think you should definitely consider that idea. And in the meanwhile, you can do mindfulness and breathing, which is really going to help you get through this.
Right. Dr. Vidya, I have a follow-up question to you, which is that while creating the family vision for 2021, how can parents involve the child also in creating that vision?
Oh, lovely. Nitin, how why are parents defined as parents? Because they have a child in their lives. That's how they become parents, right? So I think just like if teachers wouldn't be teachers if they didn't have anyone to teach them, right? So similarly, parents are defined as parents because they have children. Grandparents are defined as grandparents because they are grandparents to the kids, right? So children, I think, are essential parts of this journey. And in fact, they can be teachers. We can learn a lot of things on the parenting journey from our children. So you have to incorporate them, because I see several parents coming in and saying, oh, my child is too small, so I don't expect him to do any of the housework. And then I on the other side, I also see parents of teenagers, for example, who have come in and throughout the year, when there was no house help and people were scared to get in the house help, so it was only the mother and father, or sometimes only the mother, who was doing all the work, all the housework. So definitely that would have stressed her out. While if the child, if even if he, whether he's a 3-year old or whether he's a 13-year-old, I'm sure they could incorporate the child in the part of the daily routine where he's helping out with some of the housework, so that overall the stress is spread out much better and is handled much better. So children are definitely a crucial part of this journey. They have to be involved in it.
Right. But Dr. Vidya, can you give some examples? So, say for example, a 4-year-old child, right, and the family is creating a family vision for 2021. How can you, include your 4-year-old in while you create that family vision? And in fact, between 2 to 4-year-old, especially because they are very young, right? So, how do you involve a really young toddler while you create a family vision?
Right. So I think while you are creating the family vision and you are keeping these the car model in mind, so you're keeping in all the aspects in mind. But you have to realize that compared to a teenager or an older child, a small one is so much a bundle of energy, right? So you have to incorporate the kind of physical activities which would be more age appropriate for the child. If you are putting in some household chores, I'm sure everyone in the house can do some in an age appropriate manner. You can have when the children were going to school, for example, the parents would say, oh, poor thing, he comes so tired, and let me not involve him in any of the housework. And now when the child is at home, the parents say, oh, poor thing, this is he's at home and he's handling online school, so let me not give him any housework. So all the pressure is coming on the parents, right? So we don't want that. So even for a toddler, even for a 2-year old, a 4-year old, I'm sure he could, there could be some division of labor where obviously he can't handle the fire or cook in the house, but definitely he can take out the garbage. For example, if the table is being laid for the dinner, so if the mother is cooking or the father is cooking the dinner, I'm sure the 4-year old could keep the water glasses for and lay the dinner table, or he could put the used plates back in the sink or the dishwasher. And so these are some small things which I think it is very essential to give these routines to the child in an age appropriate manner, so that he gets used to the concept in his mind that uh, everyone has to contribute to the family chores. Otherwise what happens is, it's the pressure is all on the parents or on the mother, and then the mother is not able to handle it so well.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Vidya, for giving those examples. I think that would really help parents. If you've just joined this Parenting Live, I'm with Dr. Vidya Ganpati, and she's helping us create the family vision for 2021. You can ask your questions in the comment section. Remember, we are taking the questions first from the Parentune site and the Parentune app, but we'll try and answer them as much as possible. Please do stay on the live to get the answer from Dr. Vidya for your question. And we'll try and cover your question. I want to tell you about Dr. Vidya. She's a family and child psychiatrist, and Dr. Vidya is today joining us all the way from Bangalore. And she's been active in this space for the last 15 years. And she's not only been supporting parents and children and family, but she's also developed several programs. She's designed programs even for autism intervention, and she's actively been supporting millions of parents on Parentune, like all of us today are tuned in live for Dr. Vidya's live today. So Dr. Vidya, next question is coming in from Kranti. And Kranti says, Kranti is joining us from Mumbai. She says that, Doctor, my son is of 5, and last 9 months he has been attending online karate classes. And he's basically, she has given from next month, she's given him options to attend online classes as well as, if he wants to go out, attend karate classes in now things are opening up. So she wants her son to attend in actual physical, classes, but with precautions. She wants to understand how can she convince her husband to let the son attend physical karate classes rather than online karate classes, because she sees that her son is not actually attentive in those online classes, not getting much out of them. So how can she go about convincing her husband to let the son go and attend physical physical karate classes?
Right. Kranti, welcome to the club where a lot of parents are divided on this, because as things are opening up, I think that because this was unprecedented, right? There were no set guidelines for any of this, and the guidelines are still coming up, and there is so much of conflicting information that everyone is really confused, and it is quite understandable that your husband could be protective. At the same time, I do understand that initially there was a novelty of online classes, and now this has begun to wear off. So children are not really attentive during the online sessions, especially children who have some attention deficit issues. They are not really attentive, and they of course will tend to benefit from something like a karate class which is happening live. So some practical things which you could do use for this is, of course, you have to ensure that your child is maintaining the physical distance and following all the guidelines which are essential, that he for the hand washing and all of that. If you could just maybe for convincing your husband, if you could let him see how your child is during the online class, and then see if you can take if he can take him, if your husband can take him for one of these live classes. Don't insist that yes, from now on he is going to attend the live karate classes, but if you could just let him go along with the child and see that how much the child is enjoying it, how he is attending it much better. And when the child is coming, maybe on the way back, he's going to be talking to his dad about it and how he enjoyed it and what he did. So I think this practical experience will go a much longer way in convincing your husband, possibly, than any amount of the cajoling or any amount of persuasion on your part would do, because it's just talk. But when it is a practical experience, I think that could help him. So that is one thing you could try out, Kranti.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya. Kranti, I hope this advice from Dr. Vidya helps you. Please keep us posted how it goes. Dr. Vidya, I'm going to put up a question from, Meeti Joshi, and she has, asked a very interesting question in line with the current pandemic. She says that due to the current pandemic, her 7-year-old has been throwing a lot of tantrums, and due to lack of physical activity, of course, the appetite levels have gone down, and they are also becoming fussy. Both her children are getting fussy about food. How can she compensate for the physical activity, and what are some of the advice which you would give her to get both her children sort of do some physical activity, given that they are at home? And how can she go about it?
Right. So Niti is having two kids. I'm sure she has been having her hands full in 2020, and she's looking for some tips now to handle things better in 2021. Right. So a lot of children, actually, or a lot of parents have been coming in where the child has become irritable, where the child has become stubborn, where the child, which could be a symptom, they don't know how to express their anxieties, right? So it could be a way of their expressing their anxieties, and the lack of routine in their lives. So if you are able to incorporate a structured routine in their lives, I think it would help, because children love that sense of structure. They thrive on that sense of structure when they know what to do from hour to hour, right? So if you could incorporate some amount of structure by having in some physical activity, they can do a lot of physical activities. It's two children. So in fact, some families which are having an only child are struggling with this, and I don't want to send my child out. So how and I get tired doing so much of outdoor activities or doing so much of play activities with him. So I think we should view that as a blessing, that you have two kids, so they are able to they do a lot of things among themselves, right? Yeah, so a 7-year old and a 3-year old, I'm sure they will have so much of energy which they want to dissipate. So obviously, if they're not able to do that, it's reflecting on their appetite, it must be reflecting on their sleep patterns. And another thing, so this structure, if you are able to incorporate, and another thing is, if you are able to have a family vision on screen time, I think that is very essential, because unfortunately, during 2020, we were told, everyone was told, the professionals were also told, yeah, cut some slack. So the parents have actually done that. And now I have seen a lot of children who are actually getting addicted to the screen, because if they're getting their stimulation at the click of a button, why would they do some physical activity to get the same dopamine rush? So I think it's very essential to have a family vision on screen time, uh, and have a sense of structure where they are doing physical activities which are not screen time based, because screen time, excessive screen time, has so many of its attendant ills, right? If you're letting them watch screen time before going to bed, it can affect their sleep routines, it can affect their melatonin secretion, which is because of the blue light which is emitted from any gadget. It interferes with melatonin secretion, it is proven, right? And possibly even in the screen time, there should be different guidelines. You can read up on the guidelines, and there should be different times allotted to a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. In fact, Nitin, it's quite interesting that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that below the age of 2 there should be no screen time.
Right, and it's interesting, Dr. Vidya, that you spoke about this. I was about to bring that up, that given the kind of challenge you have, Meeti, and welcome back on Parenting Live. Meeti joins us regularly on Parenting Live. So, Meeti, my
Yeah.
suggestion would be for home, for the 7-year-old. What you can do is, there are these interesting games which are like you get them online, or you can even make one at home, wherein you have a lit mat wherein the music plays on the television, and whichever light lights up, the child needs to step there. To basically, it's like a watch and dance, right? That kind of thing. Your 3-year-old, he's going to love it. So you could try that. For the 7-year-old, what you could do is you could create almost like a physical hurdle set inside the house, wherein the child actually helps you do some physical work at home. Could be even doing some kitchen work, doing some house chores, or going out. If you have some open space or a terrace, then you could engage your child even in gardening, right? And when children sit and do gardening in those pots in the balcony or anything, believe me, it takes a lot of their time, energy, and it will get them physically tired. So once that starts happening, you will find that change you are looking for in 2021. So, and Dr. Vidya, you've given some absolutely wonderful examples. So I think that would also help. I have another, worry, Dr. Vidya, which is that with more and more online screen time, we've been getting these questions from parents. There is that worry of more and more children getting, spectacles in 2020. So, what could be, and it's interesting that you spoke about every family vision to have a screen time vision for 2021. What would be your advice to bring forward that part of the vision to a child? Like, let's say a family of three, and the child is, let's say, 4.5, 5 years old. How do you get the child to come around on the family vision for screen time? Could you give some tips on that?
Right. For this family of three, Nitin, which you are speaking about, I think it will be a good thing for getting the child on board. Is It will be good to know that good for the child to know that you mean business on this, that you are equally serious on this, right? And of course, children at that age, and children of all ages, but especially at that age, they learn by imitation, they learn by modeling, right? So you have to be very good role models. I think that's very essential to get them on board. So once you have actually developed a vision, one thing you could do is put it up in a colorful manner, in a good manner, at a spot which is very clearly visible every day. Like it could be somewhere near the dinner table, where they know that these are this is a time, for example, meal time. If you have put it up as that it is off limits for any gadget, right? If you have put up that bedtime is a time which is off limits for any gadget, so if this is clearly visible in front of them when they're having dinner, they're much more likely to follow through. And of course, if the parent also has to resist the impulse to just send a quick text while having dinner, send a quick text while driving, when he is told that this is off limits. So these times which have been defined, the screen free times which have been defined, are off limits for everyone across the family, right? While crossing the street, you are not going to be texting, or you're not going to be on your mobile. So if you are giving this advice, previously I think we used to give this advice that children should not play with a ball when they are on the streets, because they don't have that capacity inherently in their brain to also watch out for a speeding car, right? So now I think unfortunately the times have come such that we have to advise them that please don't watch the screen, at least while you are crossing the road, or at least while you are having family time, while you're having dinner time. So I think these have to be very clearly defined, and they have to be conveyed to the family, every member of the family, in an age appropriate manner. Like if it's a 5-year old, what is the maximum time he is going to be allowed on the screen? And of course, you can make it a bit flexible, that that he should not have any screen time till he has actually completed his homework. But then you can give him a bit of flexibility on a weekend, and give him that choice. Or you could have a family movie time where you're doing things together. If you could see that all screen time, most of it is useful, because for example, a parent came to me and said that yeah, my second grader is watching 4 hours apart from online school, he is getting 4 hours of screen time. And so I let my lower kg kid also sit with him, because what does he do during that time? But you have to understand here that the screen time has to be different for these two kids, because their brains are at different stages of development, isn't it? And the younger one is going to get into the habit of demanding. If you're saying that, oh, I am giving it to my older one, so I also have to give the same time to my younger one. If you have that kind of mental framework, you have to change it for 2021, so that they realize that this is different from my older brother, this is different for me. This is yeah, some rules are equally applicable to my parents, they are also following it. That's how they get on board for this screen vision, which every family, believe me, has to have.
I think you make a very pertinent point for 2021. So basically, one thing which I am taking away, Dr. Vidya, is for all of us on Parent Tune, all the families should definitely have a screen vision as part of the family vision in 2021, because the screen is going to be continuing to be a reality for 2021 for the child, for the parents, for work from home, all of that. So it's very important to have a screen vision in our 2021 vision. And I think one of the tips which you've given, which is off limits. This off limits is like a very handy rule, because not looking at the screen during mealtime, not looking at the screen while driving, right? So I think these are like really great. So if the child is, let's say, on the navigator seat or is sitting next to the driving seat, then the rule applies to the child also. So no looking at the screen when you're looking on the road ahead, things like that. So then a parent can do that role modeling. So really handy examples. From thanks a ton, Dr. Vidya. The next question is from Reena Malik, and Reena says that I have a 5-year-old child, and she says my husband is a businessman. He always goes out due to work, and he's mostly away and busy, and he's busy on the phone even when at home. Now, he hardly gives time to me and the child because of his work. He never plays with the child, nor does he spend much time with him. Now, during this COVID times, it has become even more accentuated. So she's asking, will it have an impact on her child, and how can this impact be minimized, or how can things get better? She's tried many things already, but doesn't seem to be working much. What can she do? How can she change this in 2021?
Okay, Reena, if you could in 2021, if it's possible, that you kind of take a balcony seat and try and look at it from the perspective of your husband, because I'm sure he would love to spend time with the child, but he is not able to do it, possibly because of the pressures of his job. Because we know that the fathers have had much more pressure when they are working offline than when they are going to the offices and the work gets distributed. Some of the work, the financial goals are met, so the pressure is definitely building up on the fathers also. And the mother thinks that all of the housework or all of the childcare is falling to me, so she is getting much more resentful and negative about the whole thing. So maybe you could take a balcony seat and try and analyze if this is also happening in your case. And uh, Maybe that would give you different insights and give you a different perspective on the whole thing. And then maybe you could come up with ideas yourself, which will suit your family needs. Because like I said, the family vision is different for every family, because the needs of every family, the dynamics within all the family members are all very different and very unique for each family. Right, so if you could do that, if you could look at it from a different point of view, from a position of empathy, and you count your blessings, that these things are the things which happen positively in 2020. So let's see how I can look at those positivities, look at those blessings, and make it much greater blessings in 2021.
You make a very interesting point, Dr. Vidya. You said that family vision differs from family to family. So while creating your own family vision, there's not a necessarily a set template which you need to follow. You can do what is in line with your family's vision. So say for example, if it's a family of three and a really young child, let's say an infant, who's now going to be a toddler and would be the first time that would be not attending a preschool in their family, right? The first toddler in the family not to be going to a preschool, physical preschool. Now, in given that, should my 2021 vision include some kind of a learning activities or some kind of a learning milestone or physical milestone for my toddler? I'm sure most of the families would understand. Yeah, the answer is yes, but bringing that aspect, like you said, in the vision makes it that much more, assessment friendly, and you can, look at it later on, reflect and see, okay, how are we doing on it? So my next question, Dr. Vidya, to you is that how do you measure that, or how do you see that you are going fine on your family's vision? Let's say we create a family vision for 2021. What are some of the tips and tricks you would suggest to keep monitoring that you're on track?
Right. So I think, Nitin, for this, I think as you go along the way, and if you are persistent and if you are determined, you will find that you monitor by the kind of effect it has on you, by the kind of wellness it induces in you and the other family members, by the kind of, you will see that the connectedness is improving much more. Like for example, in a family vision, if you have put in one, two, three, four these aspects, and you are having say once a month discussion about it, the family members definitely would come up with saying that yes, we have a regular exercise routine, so it helps me feel much more fresh to take on my day. So if you are having, for example, you say, you tell the children or you tell everyone that you don't go online before you do a half an hour of physical activity in a day, right? Because some parents, they say that, oh, the child's school starts at 8, for example, and I don't want to wake up the poor thing, this is the only time he is at home. So they literally wake up the child as 7:55 and put the laptop in front of him if it's a smaller child, and he's not even brushed his teeth, right? So we don't want that to happen, right? So this is why it is very important that you tweak this as per the family vision, as per the individual needs of the family, but putting in all these things in place, that the child, putting in all the car model in place, remembering about the structure, remembering about the healthy lifestyle, and all of that. So it's a balance between all of this.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Vidya. Dr. Vidya, next question is a little tricky, but something which all of us watching and attending this live can actually, pick some advice from. So Soumya from Delhi, she's asked this question. She says, from the last 7, 8 months, I've become very negative, and I can feel that. And overall, there's a lot of negativity in my house. Now, there are some other aspects also which are contributing to it, like interpersonal equations, the news she keeps hearing, media, what we keep watching, things like that. She doesn't want that to continue in 2021. What are some of the things she could do so that when she enters in 2021, the next 7, 8 months, she could like really enter with a lot of positivity and continue? What would you advise? What could be 3, 4 things she could practice?
Right. So, Soumya, I think this has been the case with all of us in 2020, that there has been generally so much of negativity in the atmosphere. So, how do we circumvent this, get over this for having a better family life in 2021? Some tips. One thing is, you could have a worry window where you actually decide that if news you watch, if the news you read, if it's going to be all too much of negativity, it's going to be filled with negativity, so you keep a window where you allow yourself to worry, because that is also a valid emotion, right? But you don't obsessively try and track every COVID case, so to say, right? Try and actually track, oh, when is the vaccine coming, and then what do I do, and how do I handle it, what if there are side effects? Because the more you enter into that spiral of worry, the more it is you are going to get caught in that. that, right? So you give yourself a worry window. I think that would be one tip which you could follow. And also model it for your kids, where they are able to start on a more positive note. You give yourself some self care where you're doing some physical activity, so automatically that increases the positive neurotransmitters in our body, right? And we are able to do that. And if you are able to develop some family rituals, like for example a gratitude ritual, a journaling ritual, where you do some things together as a family, being maybe being with nature, whatever suits your family needs, these could be some things which could help to generate positivity as the year goes on.
Right. Dr. Vidya, this sounds very interesting. Gratitude ritual. Can you talk a little more about it? Because I think that can be something which all of us can, sort of pick from and practice this in 2021.
Right. So I think this is something which I have done myself at home with my children. And believe me, I really believe that it has gone a long way in helping us being more resilient, getting on the other side of this in a much better fashion. So it's a simple thing. It is not something which should take too much of your time. So you set a time, typically around, it could also be a bedtime ritual, where before the children are going to sleep, you have a practice where everyone talks about the or writes about the three things in the day which they were thankful for. And believe me, gratitude, when you just notice the simple things, it could be as simple as getting a hot cup of coffee when you needed it, right? It could be as simple as getting 5 minutes to go out in the garden, or even look at the flowers which are outside from your window. It could be something like being comforted by a blanket. So it's simple things. It's not only the material things. Typically I think when the children they start off, they talk about this gift which they got, and those kind of material things. But when it becomes a daily practice and they have to come up with three things which they are thankful for, which happen today, every day, when they have to do it as a routine, they go on definitely to a deeper level of processing. And they talk about, I brought a smile to my grandmother's face by calling her up today. So they are thankful for it. So the grandmother also is comes into that spiral of positivity, where they have generated some positivity, but they are feeling good about it. They are feeling grateful for the fact that they go 5 minutes in a day to talk. So I smiled at somebody. So it's something so simple. So as they go on, they go on, that gratitude goes on to a deeper level of processing, and it really really helps in generating more and more positivity in the child and the whole family.
And yeah, and I think that's such a great ritual, because, visualizing from a child's perspective, when the child is writing a thank you for, I am really thankful for, today I got my favorite dish. Today my mama made me my favorite food, something like that. The next day, I'm sure the child is also looking to, do something positive. So it's a great Dr. Vidya. Thanks for sharing that. And one thing which I am taking away from today's life personally also, that I'm going to practice this ritual every day. I think personally, I find this like really powerful. Writing what I'm thankful for when I finish my day. So thanks for sharing that, Dr. Vidya. We've taken most of the questions. There are questions still coming in from parents, but I want to cluster a few questions and ask you a few of them which can be combined from all the parents' side. So one is that while creating, you've talked about how to create a family vision in 2021, but while we create these family vision, what are some of the not to do? What would you say are three not to do's for, especially for parents, while they create a vision for the family for 2021?
Right. So yeah, the don'ts are equally important as the do's, right? Or maybe even more so, because those are something which we need to respect. So I would say that we should not demean or disrespect each other, because obviously there is not a very ideal family where the one is being disrespected, one is being ridiculed, any member of the family, whoever it may be. Don't divide the family. Like for example, we saw some cases here also, and even in my practice, parents come in where one person is very typically scapegoated, right? So whatever is in your family vision shouldn't act as a divisive force in the family. So don't try and divide the family by taking sides and by saying that, yeah, I want to do this, but my the husband doesn't want to do it, and then there is a tug of war. So I think we need to get this very clear that the family is, all the family members are on the same side, in the sense that everyone is working for the good of the family, right? So we don't try and divide and make the members take sides, and don't deviate or be disappointed, because this is not going to be a smooth journey all throughout, right? Like any journey, there may be some rough patches. So don't get disappointed and give up, and don't deviate. Like if you say, oh, the screen time is not working at all, so let me deviate and make it from 2 hours to 4 hours. So don't do that. Try and see that how you can gradually bring down the things. So you, I'm sure, when you decide that, yeah, there should be flexibility, but within the basic guidelines. So when you're not deviating from the basic vision which you have, I think you won't get disappointed, but you will come up with newer and newer techniques to how to fit yourself and the family in that family vision of 2021.
Right. Thanks a lot, Dr. Vidya. I think this has been very handy. And in fact, I was about to ask you that how do you continue? Because, many a times you will hit bumps on the road, right? So how do you still continue and sustain through that? And this third tip, which you've spoken about, don't get disappointed, don't give up on your family vision in 2021. I think that's a very important point also in line with all you've given us today. Highly valuable, piece today of this family vision, Dr. Vidya. I remember our backstage chat, and when both of us were talking about earlier that would parents actually from Parent Tune come forward and be able to practice a family vision in 2021? Will this be something of interest for parents? I'm very glad to say that parents on Parent Tune are not only progressive, but they are always looking to do what is right for their child, for their family. In line with that, I think today's live would not only help us, all of us, to come over 2020's difficulties, but also go forward in 2021 with hopes, with aspirations, with dreams, and with all those dreams for our whole family in 2021. And I hope we continue to stay positive in 2021 together. We have still not set bid edu to 2020, but let's do that in style. And I'm so glad that we have experts like you to guide us to get into 2021 really in style and with a vision. I'm really thankful, Dr. Vidya, for an amazing live today. I think this has been really an eye opener, and thank you for telling me about the gratefulness and the gratitude ritual, the family gratitude ritual. I think that's been my biggest learning from the Parenthood Live today. So thank you again, Dr. Vidya, for joining us today and helping us create an effective family vision for 2021.
Thank you so much, Nitin. There is, I thought I'll just end on this line, given that the transition which we are making from 2020 to 2021 has been different from whatever we have been making so far. So it is a nice couplet which I came across, which said that हमें सीमित निराशा को स्वीकार करना चाहिए, लेकिन असीमित आशा को नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए. So let us end on this
Wow,
message of
wow.
positivity and hope.
Beautiful, amazing. So the entire bit of being always hopeful, and being hopeful is the best strength to have always, and to look forward to 2021. I think that's an amazing note to end today's Parent Tune Live. Dr. Vidya, thank you again. For anyone who is joining in now, and in case you missed the initial part, I would strongly suggest you to watch today's Parent Tune Live in case you want to build an effective family vision for 2021. It will give you some structural inputs, some do's, some don'ts, and it will help you create a family vision which will help you and your family to come together. Stick it out in 2021 and stick it out in a happy, fun, and hopeful manner, like Dr. Vidya just mentioned. So, wishing you all a very, very effective family vision for 2021. Do create it. We are still 3 days away. from entering 2021. So we've brought this live today, keeping that in mind that you get those 3 days to plan ahead. So take care and see you guys soon. We'll be back again tomorrow with a Parenthood Live at the same time. Dr. Vidya, thank you again for a terrific Parenthood Live today. Really had a lot of learnings today on the live. Thank you so much.